In this question, we're asked to balance the neutralization reaction of hydrochloric acid with barium hydroxide to produce barium chloride and water. What I'm going to show you with this one is how to use the polyatomic ion trick to simplify this question. This is perfectly doable without using polyatomic ions, and at first it doesn't look like there's much involved. But let's write this out. We have hydrochloric acid, so HCl, AQ, plus barium hydroxide, Ba bracket OH bracket 2, because barium is 2 plus, hydroxide is 1 minus. This will also be aqueous. Keep an eye on that polyatomic ion, because now we're going to produce barium chloride, BaCl2, and we're also going to produce water. Now, most of the time, we want to write water the way we traditionally write it, H2O. However, if you are doing a neutralization reaction, a reaction where you have an acid and a base reacting to produce water, because hydroxide is present, there is one trick that you can do when you write the water down. Instead of writing it the way we're used to it as H2O, the way you can write it instead, which is also perfectly valid, is HOH. Now, you write it this way for most people, and they'll kind of look at you as like, why did you do it that way? But here, it actually does something really important for us. Writing it as HOH instead of writing it as H2O lets us see that the polyatomic ion, OH, is actually going over to the water. This question can be complicated by the fact that we have hydrogens in 2 places, so students will struggle with it. But if we realize that we actually have hydrogen coming from the hydrochloric acid over here, combining with the hydroxide from the barium hydroxide to produce the water, it makes this a lot easier. So when I write out my balancing, I'm going to split it into my usual 3 parts. I'm going to start with H, Cl, Ba, and OH. I'm actually going to keep the O and the H together as a unit. I have 1 hydrogen, 1 chlorine, 1 barium, and 2 hydroxides. I have 1 barium, 2 chlorines, 1 hydrogen, and 1 hydroxide. Because I have an H and an OH, we can count them as 2 different things, because the polyatomic ion is a different thing than the hydrogen on its own. Okay, we're going to balance this out the same way we usually would. I'm going to start with my chlorines. I need 2 of them in order to balance those out. Whatever I do down at the bottom, I also have to do up at the top. So now I have 2 hydrochloric acids. Anything I do to the chlorine, I also have to do to that hydrogen. So I'm going to multiply my hydrogens too. Okay, my hydrogens are unbalanced. I'm going to double up on them. That's going to give me 2 hydrogens. Whatever I do to the hydrogen, I have to do to the hydroxide. So I double up on them as well. 2, 2, 2, and 2. Everything is nice and balanced. So that is one way to make your life a little bit easier. You can't always do this when you're dealing with water. You can only use this trick when you have a hydroxide turning into a water through a neutralization reaction.